Discover the advantage of unlimited access to all the stories and resources from IBJ and inside Indiana business. From insights to inspiration, business leaders rely on the IBJ for all things Indiana business. Start your $1 a week trial now at ibj.com/trial offer.
This is Inside Indiana Business Radio for the afternoon of Tuesday, December 9th, 2025. I'm Alex Brown. The Harrison County Economic Development Corporation has unveiled a new strategic plan it says will help guide economic development and community investment in the southern Indiana county. Ryan Ritchie, interim leader for the EDC, says one of the primary focus points for the plan is employer outreach.
We want businesses that are here in Harrison County to continue to thrive, but we also want to make sure that Harrison County is known as open for business and making sure that new businesses that want to come to Harrison County have an efficient way to do so.
The strategic plan lays out a more consistent approach for responding to new business leads and enhancing the county's marketing efforts. The Martin University Board of Trustees has voted to pause the university's operations at the end of the current semester. The Indianapolis-based university cited financial and student enrollment challenges as reasons for the move. A timeline for classes to resume after the pause was not given. EmployIndy has appointed Ken Clark as its next president and CEO, the organization announced this week. Clark succeeds Marie McIntosh, who had led the Marion County Workforce Development Board since 2022. His appointment is effective immediately. From the number one source for Indiana business news, this is Inside Indiana Business Radio.
Thanks for listening to this IBJ Media podcast. You're probably going to remember this ad. Do you know why? Podcast advertising works. 85% of listeners recalled hearing an ad during a podcast, and 70% of podcast listeners have acted after hearing an ad. So whether you're looking to be heard across the entire IBJ Media Podcast Network, sponsor one of our shows, or just start with a 30-second ad, IBJ Media can help. Contact advertise at ibj.com to learn more.
After completing the Flourishing Ferdinand Comprehensive Plan in 2025, leaders in the Du Bois County town are focused on bringing the manifesto to life in the new year by executing ongoing short-term and long-term recommendations. The town's comprehensive plan revealed the median age of Ferdinand residents is 50.4. As this group approaches retirement and the labor force shrinks, Du Bois Strong Economic Development Corporation Executive Director Colton Pippinger says the need to attract a younger generation to the area becomes more critical.
I think people get to choose where they live much more so now than at any other point in time. So a lot of people are choosing to pick where they live, and then they'll find the job secondary. And I think we need to have both, but being able to creatively identify and reuse buildings and make that walkability available to people, I think that's very intriguing and very desired for a lot of young people that we hope to attract.
The comprehensive plan's highest priorities were identified as land use and growth, mobility and public services, housing, and economic growth. You can connect to the plan at InsideIndianaBusiness.com. A business consultant who helped start the J.P. Morgan Center for Commodities and Energy Management at the University of Colorado has been named the director of Ball State University's Center for Innovation and Collaboration. Betty Smith, owner of Noblesville-based Destra Consulting Group, will assume her new role January 5th. Ball State said she will help shape the center's initial organizational structure and expand community and industry partnerships. The $21.3 million center is currently under construction and set to open in the fall of 2026. The three-story, 31,000-square-foot building will house the Institute for Digital Intermedia Arts, the Entrepreneurial Leadership Institute, and other career development initiatives, as well as feature a prototyping studio, technology labs, and meeting spaces. The Lerner Theatre in downtown Elkhart will conclude its year-long Centennial Celebration this month with a trio of events honoring the landmark's 100th anniversary. The festivities include The Gift, an original holiday musical debuting this weekend, as well as a time capsule sealing ceremony and one final community program on December 21st. Premier Arts Executive Artistic Director Craig Gibson said the community's generosity has been a defining feature of the Centennial Celebration.
The generosity of the people in Elkhart is unmatched. And so we had the Friends of the Lerner. They came to us along with the Elkhart County Convention and Visitors Bureau and the city and said, what if we made this a true gift to the community? What would that look like? And so they were able to underwrite that ticket cost for us so that we could make this complimentary and really a true true gift to the community. And they've done that for several events throughout the year. And so there's been something for every taste.
Those attending the gift performances are encouraged to bring non-perishable food items to support the mayor's annual holiday food drive. Indiana Furniture CEO Max Verkamp is this week's guest on the Business and Beyond podcast with Gary Dick, presented by PNC, a weekly conversation with high-profile Hoosiers in business, sports, and entertainment, and beyond. Available now on the IBJ Media app or your favorite podcast provider. I'm Alex Brown for Inside Indiana Business Radio on Demand.
From broadcast to podcast, Inside Indiana Business with Gary Dick is now available anytime on YouTube or in your podcast feed. Subscribe and listen wherever you get your podcast or at ibjpodcast.com.
Thanks for listening to this IBJ Media podcast. You're probably going to remember this ad. Do you know why? Podcast advertising works. 85% of listeners recalled hearing an ad during a podcast, and 70% of podcast listeners have acted after hearing an ad. So whether you're looking to be heard across the entire IBJ Media Podcast Network, sponsor one of our shows, or just start with a 30-second ad, IBJ Media can help. Contact advertise at ibj.com to learn more.